In today's show, the Trailblazers snapped a 3-game losing streak with an impressive win over the Boston Celtics. Did they find their formula? Or did they just have a nice little afternoon? Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Available wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. As Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's program, we're talking about a couple games over the weekend. On Friday evening, the Blazers got blasted by the Clippers with an abysmal second half. And then on Sunday, they snapped a 3-game losing skid when it felt like the wheels were really coming off this thing with a nice win over the Celtics, holding on in crunch time to beat the Celtics, who imploded a little bit in their own right. We'll talk about both those games. We'll talk about what the win looked like on Sunday as opposed to what the loss looked like on Friday, and whether the Blazers found a formula or they just, had a night where it clicked, or somewhere in the middle, plus some odds and ends from both of these games. That's what we're going to do. But let's just do what we do. Fastest recap in the West. We'll get through both games. We'll do them in chronological order. Start with the Clippers on Friday evening. Blazers come out of the gate. It's red, stinking hot. 35 points in the first quarter, led by as many as 12. They go into the second quarter up 10, 35-25. Clippers turn the ball over in their first 2 possessions of the game. It's going to be a mess. The Clippers, who've been playing better recently, are the most disappointing team in the league. I think that's without a doubt. Old but talented. This is not a good team, but certainly a team that is playing better basketball than their nadir at some point earlier this season. And it looks like the Blazers are maybe going to run off on them. But then the Clippers kind of find their footing late in the second quarter, trim a lead down with a 3-pointer and a 3-point play, or a 3-point play from James Harden and a 3-pointer from Kobe Sanders. Going to halftime, only 6-point game. And I say only a 6-point game because the Blazers shot 60 and a half, almost 61% in the first half, 10 of 21 on threes, and you're only up 6. This team, this particular Trailblazers team, if they're going to make 10 threes and a half, if they're going to shoot 60% from the floor, they probably need a bigger cushion because it's just going to swing back. And they're like, if it's going to regress to the mean, one of the worst shooting teams in the league, the regression can get pretty aggressive. And so for them not to have a bigger cushion there felt like it was troubling, but also like the Clippers were shooting 58% and made 11 of 23s. Like they also felt like there could be a little bit of regression there, but what really changed was the Clippers stopped turning the ball over in the second half and the Blazers just did not make shots. 6-point game at halftime. Blazers they get the script flipped on them in that third quarter. They scored just 16 points, which matched their lowest output of any quarter this season, their lowest scoring third quarter, if you care. But importantly, matching their lowest scoring output of any quarter this year. They also had 16 against the Spurs earlier. Portland shot just 5 of 22 from the floor in the third quarter. But importantly, 2 of 10 on 2-pointers. They could not get anything easy. They had 5 turnovers compared to just 1 for the Clippers, and the Clippers had 10 in the first half. And the Clippers changed this game. They had a 19-1 run that just totally flipped the game. They go into the fourth quarter up 7, 85-78. Brook Lopez through 3 quarters has 9 threes. Oh my goodness. We'll talk a little bit about more of him later in the show. Oh my goodness though. Career night for Lopez. A career high 9 3-pointers. Didn't make any 2s in this game. He was chucking them up early and launching them, but then he started getting a lot of that positive reinforcement because they kept going in. He hits 9 threes through 3 quarters, and the Blazers are still sort of in the game, but they've the offense has just disappeared and it never comes back. They never get closer than 6 in the fourth quarter. And they lose going away 119-103. That's your fastest recap in the West for Friday. Blazers in the second half, 13 of 42 from the floor. That's 31%. But 7 of 24 on 2s, 30% on 2-pointers. It would be one thing if obviously they're shooting a lot of threes. It took 18. That's actually right around league average. It's 36. It'd be one thing if it was just they took 29 3-pointers, 35 3-pointers in the second half, just trying to launch and find any kind of offense. they had a totally reasonable split, took more twos than threes. Like for this team, at a very reasonable split, 30% on twos. They're outscored 63-41 in the second half. So that game is the loss number 3 of 3 in a row. They started this homestand and they come back from a game in Sacramento and they lose to the Pistons in a game they led big. They came back and briefly led, a big comeback and briefly led and lost. They lose to the Magic in the same way. They come roaring back from down 17, briefly take the lead and still lose in crunch time. Against the Clippers, they just offense wilts in the second half. And it's like, oh, this team can lose any way you want. They can start bad and have a strong fourth quarter but not finish, or they can start great and just totally wilt after halftime. And the way this sort of stuff works in the NBA, the season is so stinking long, but like fandom is just this type of way, is that when you lose, and particularly you lose in bunches, you lose a couple in a row, and it's particularly in home, it just feels like this will never end. It feels like this thing is just, it really feels like the wheels are starting to come off, and people are posting, conspiracy theories about injuries and sending me emails about them. And like the panic really starts to set in because it feels forever. It feels expected. These losses feel just like, yeah, they can lose it any which way. How do you want to slice it? The Blazers will figure out how to lose this basketball game. So then they go into Sunday's matinee against the Celtics, not with that hanging over them necessarily, but certainly like the reality that they've been struggling recently. It kind of feels like this. I don't know if the season is slipping away necessarily, because if the goal is to like finish 10th in the West, that's going to be like in the bottom half of the West, kind of dicey. That's going to be like within striking distance forever. But if the goal is to be more than just like, oh, congratulations, you get to play a couple road play-in games or whatever, or one road play-in game. It's like, if you have loftier expectations, or the Blazers themselves have loftier goals for themselves, it's like, this season does feel like, they're kind of caught in this weird crossroads where they have to decide if they're coming or going. I will note that like the difference between what they're doing now and like actually tanking is meaningless. There's literally no difference. I can't imagine what the suggestion is. It's like, should they actively try to lose, shoot in the wrong basket or something? But they came into the Celtics game with just a little bit of, I would say, and this is just like from my read based on like the emails I get, my YouTube comments, it's like a little bit of panic, kind of about where they are as a team, where they are with coaching staff, where they are with, what is the front office going to do? Do they decide, are they going to do something dumb and chase this season? Are they going to give up on this season? I think it, kind of just like what the Blazers' injuries with playing with no point guards has sort of exposed about what this team is and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's starting to feel a little bit heavy. Losing streak this week and the way that they lost some of these games starting to feel a little bit heavy. And the way they got beat down by kind of just a bad Clippers team. It's like, oh, okay. What is this, right? So they welcome to town just a good Celtics team. Somewhat surprisingly good, but I think this point in the season, you can just say good. And it's a good team. It's a good team. They're pretty talented. And so I think what the Blazers needed was they didn't need just like a good showing. It wasn't like they needed like a vibes loss. They needed to find a way to win, find a way to get a win and feel like this homestand, which they've already, they already secured the losing streak on the losing record on this 5-game homestand because they lost their first 3. But like to feel like this homestand wasn't the beginning of things like of the season tipping away, right? They needed to actually get a win, not just like sort of a vibes reset of like, hey, this team can be competitive, because I think you kind of know they can be competitive. And they got it. They delivered against the Celtics. They win this game 114-108. We will do our fastest recap in the West for Sunday's game right after this break. Join me in that second segment, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's program brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, because you're watching hoops and you don't have to work the next day unless you do. And then it's just a fun Friday night. And FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. So Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. That's going to be 3 to 4:30 on this here coast. Appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Open the FanDuel app during that happy hour, and you're going to get boosts, bonuses, and surprises. You can even check the weekly special before tip-off, and you can make the move before window closes. And the timing is perfect because it's Friday afternoon. You're going to want to do something on your phone. So grab that FanDuel app and check it out. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping. NBA Happy Hour every Friday, 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time or 3 to 4:30 Pacific. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sports book partner of the NBA. Today's program is also brought to you by the good folks over at your local YMCA. That's right, that's the YMCA of Columbia-Willamette, where they want you to find your play. At YMCA of Columbia-Willamette, they believe everyone deserves to find their play because play connects us, it strengthens us, and it brings our community together. So through the three pillars of the YMCA, youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility, the Y is your local nonprofit helping people of all ages move, grow, and belong across Portland and Vancouver. If you're in the metro area, you're going to find 6 courts and a full fitness center at the Beaverton Family Y. Plus, you're going to find families swimming or playing pickleball together at the Clark County or Sherwood YMCAs, plus family activities all year long, brand new workout equipment at all 3 branches, and so much more. I'm a member of my local YMCA. I love it. I was a child of YMCA camps. I loved them. If you want to become a successful podcaster, that is the best way to start. Go work out at your local YMCA. Go have fun. Go play. YMCA camps, though, for real, they're wonderful. They got childcare and enrichment sites throughout the region, and the Y gives kids safe and fun places to learn, play, and build confidence all year long, so they too can become successful niche podcasters. Visit the YMCACW.org. That's YMCACW.org/pod, YMCACW.org/pod, or follow them on YouTube and Instagram at YMCACW. All right. So, Blazers with the weight of an anxious fan base looming over them, step onto the court for a matinee game on Sunday. I think the NBA season is long enough that the anxious fan base probably does it way too much on NBA players. It's just that losing it is exhausting, and you feel that you feel the weight of just sort of getting beat up every night. And the Blazers come out, play pretty well. They trailed immediately. They trailed pretty well after the first 2 minutes. They were down 9-1 over the first 2 minutes with 2 turnovers and 1 shot attempt. And they'd missed a free throw. So I was like, okay, maybe not. But they take a timeout. At that timeout, the Blazers actually played a tribute video for Anthony Simons. Welcome back, Ant. I thought it was a nice tribute video. It was well done. He comes off the bench, so they didn't get to honor him during starting intros. So the first time out of the first quarter, which happened when the Blazers were kind of in disarray, they honor Ant. He's, smiles on the sidelines and taps his heart and flashes a huge grin. And then he checks in and immediately hits a 3-pointer. He did not play particularly notably well, but it was, back in the building. Ant spent a long time here and grew up from a teenager to a young adult, and so I'm glad I thought they honored him well, and they didn't overdo it for kind of what his standing in the franchise. I thought it was nice. I mean, he's up there. He was here for a long time and made a lot of 3-pointers. But the Blazers, behind freaking awesome first quarter from Donovan Clingan, 11 points and 8 boards in the first quarter, are up 31-30 after 1. The tide kind of turns on them in the second quarter. Jaylen Brown got going. The Celtics are pretty much whole, like, for who they are. They're pretty much whole. Like, obviously Jason Tatum's out and Jason Tatum is probably out for the year, but for some reason, we are all pretending that Jason Tatum is going to defy all medical odds and come back. Maybe he will. We shall see. But they're pretty much whole. They are who they are. They were 19-11 coming into this game, surprisingly good. And one of the big reasons is that Jaylen Brown just makes shots off the dribble. He's been an awesome self-created scorer in this season, and Blazers, up by as many as 7 in that second quarter, but the Celtics close the half really strong, and they go into halftime up 63-55. Jaylen Brown, 27 points on 11 of 16 in the first half. Okay, well, you got to make a move. And the Blazers do. They do. They do not fade. They do not wilt. And finally, Toumani Camara finds his rhythm. Toumani was 0 for 5 in the first half, and his primary assignment, Jaylen Brown, had 27. He had a pretty miserable first 24 minutes. It's like, oh man, and I've talked about it a bunch. It's like the Blazers just need Toumani to be really good. They're probably asking more than he is capable of, but like that's kind of the nature of the roster right now. And I was ready to talk about it again. Like, man, another tough night for Toumani. And then all of a sudden he hits 3 threes in the fourth quarter. Shaden Sharp had a nice first half with 15 and continued with another 7 in the third. He got 22 after 3. Denny's got 20. They're in this game and up 86-85 heading into the fourth quarter, and they would not relinquish the lead in the fourth. Join me in the replay room with 3 minutes 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Jaylen Brown drives. He hits Denny in the face with an elbow. They called a flagrant foul on that. I think that is the rule. That's a basketball play. I mean, it looked awful. It looked terrible to be Denny Avdia and get hit in the face. But to me, basketball rule. And of course, Denny misses both free throws. Ball don't lie. But also, like, those free throws would have put the Blazers up 5, and they would have been getting the ball back. And then Sidi Sissoko misses a corner 3, and it has a real here we go again type of feeling where the Blazers benefited from a call. Again, I think it's a correctly applied rule. I'm not saying they got it wrong. I just think it's a weak call. I think what Jaylen Brown did was play basketball, and Denny got his face in the way of a basketball, but his face happened to catch an elbow. It looked terrible. But he misses both free throws. Sidi Sissoko misses a corner 3, and instead of having a chance to go up by as many as 8, 7 or 8, instead the Blazers it's still a 3-point game. Jaylen Brown drives, finds Neemias Queta inside. He dunks. 103-102. Okay. But Shaden Sharp answers. Huge 3. Jaylen Brown answers. Huge 3 for the Celtics. It's 106-105, 2:42 left. And then the wheels came off for both teams. Just an incredible sequence of yuck to close this game with the final 2:42. But the Blazers came out on the right side of the yuck. Caleb Love misses a 3. Hugo Gonzalez misses a 3. Donovan Clingan gets the ball inside. He's stripped in the lane and turns the ball over. The Celtics rush the other way. Derek White misses a 3. Blazers come down the other way. Denny Avdia misses a 3. Oh no! Oh no! So that's 2 missed 3s for the Celtics. Didn't get inside they're not taking 2s. 2 missed 3s for the Blazers and a turnover. So the Celtics get the ball back now. No one has scored for a minute and a half. It's a minute 22 seconds left. They're down 1, still at 106-105. And they're trying to run a pick and roll high on the floor to get Jaylen Brown the matchup he wants and let him go attack. But instead the Blazers double team, and the Celtics don't help off the double team, and Jaylen Brown just loses the ball. He's not strong with it. He loses the ball. Shaden Sharp gets a huge steal, goes the other way, gets fouled, but he splits the free throws. It's a 2-point game with a minute 08 left. Denny's missed free throws with under 4 minutes now. Shaden Sharp splitting them. It's like you've seen this movie before. The Blazers are going to make it happen. But the Celtics come back down, and again a high pressure defense, double team, or not double team, but high pressure defense, 45 feet from the rim, and trying to get off the ball. Derek White throw it to Jaylen Brown and get off the ball and give it to Brown, and Brown let him attack. They just throw the ball in the backcourt. Backcourt violation. Blazers get it back. Denny scores a tough runner moving to his right, like a running layup, sort of like floater bank, hard drive, not like it got all the way to the rim, kind of like slashing across the paint. And as he slashes across the paint, he kind of gets carried himself into the crowd, and the Celtics run the other way with an uneven, 5-on-4 situation. And Derek White, who hadn't made any shots all game, he struggled in this one. Cashes in a 3, and now it's a 1-point game again with 43 seconds. So you get 2 Celtics turnovers. You split a free throw and you make a layup, and you haven't really stretched the lead. It's still a 1-point game. But huge moments. Blazers come down. Denny Avdia takes a step back 3 from the top of the key. Donovan Clingan rebound in traffic, goes right back up, fouled and 1, hits the free throw. 4-point game. Celtics ball with 22 seconds left. They again immediately turn the ball over because they just start melting down here. Blazers Jaylen Brown is cutting to the rim wide open. He's going to get a layup probably or a dunk, and instead the pass is just too wide, sails long. Brown kind of pouts and stops chasing the ball. Blazers grab it. Celtics forced a foul, and the Blazers win 114-108. What a freaking game! I think the last 240 was just like kind of bad basketball by both teams, but the Blazers were certainly the better team in those final 240. Like, you hit a free throw, Klingon with a huge rebound and a huge bucket. They made enough plays. I thought the pressure defense away from the rim was commendable. I thought the Celtics played stupid. Like, I thought they made some stupid plays. I'm not going to say like it was all Celtics mistakes, but certainly I would lean more Boston miscues than Blazer pressure. But like that forced those plays. But like the pressure forced the miscues, right? Like you would expect the Celtics to play less stupid, but they played they did what they did, and the Blazers were able to take advantage. And they get a huge, much needed exhale-y type of win. I'll say like I was in the arena and talking to the team, or during the post-game interviews, I would say, I wouldn't say that this was one of the like, oh, we needed it so bad type of wins. This was just like, yeah, they found a way to do it. And I think they found a way to do it in a couple different ways. One, really importantly, hugely important, Caleb Love goes 4 of 10 from 3. He had 18 points. Caleb Love hit his 4-3 in the fourth quarter, and I was reminded by one of my colleagues on Press Row that I had boldly predicted earlier this season on this very podcast that the Blazers would never lose a game in which Caleb Love hit 4 threes off the bench. Not 4 threes in any game. The bold prediction was if Caleb Love comes off the bench and hits 4 3-pointers, the Blazers will never lose. And I was getting a little sweaty there in the final minute. Like, man, is this stupid prediction I made going to hold up 0 times? Where are we already at 0? No, it's forever. It's bold. It's never. It's if Caleb Love makes 4 threes off the bench, the Blazers are going to win. But that's just a small part of this. Caleb Love made 4 threes off the bench. The Blazers got balance. So what I want to talk about to close the show is is this the formula? Did they discover something here? Or is this just kind of like a game that happened? I think it's both. And I want to talk why I think it's both. Join me in join me in the third segment, won't ya? Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. So, did the Blazers discover something here? I exhale because I'm going to reject the premise outright. No. But I do think this is, in many ways, what they needed. Shaedon Sharpe had a really nice game. He didn't have like this monster fourth quarter or anything to close, but he's 26 points. He hit 5 of 8 threes, which is huge for him. 10 of 20 from the floor. 26 points and 5 boards. If Shaedon Sharpe did that all the time, this is like, superstar stuff. No, I don't. That's a bridge too far for me. But that's just a really good game. They needed him to do it, and he went out and got it done. Like, his job is to score on this team, and he went out and scored. Like, he delivered. Deni Avdija, turned the ball over a little bit too much early. I thought he really. I thought he was really, really sloppy early in this game. Blazers had 16 turnovers in the first half, 4 in the second half. That's the difference in the game. 16 in the first half, you're giving up shots. 4 in the second half, you're getting shot attempts. Field goal attempts are just huge. It's the possession game. How many times can you get a shot up? And they did it. So you get 26 from Shea, you get 24 from Deni, but you kind of just need those guys. Like, that's like a baseline for them to be competitive. 26 is a big night from Sharpe, but like, it's not crazy outside of his averages. Toumani Camara, after a stinker of a first half, finishes with 20 points to go with 4 boards and 3 assists. He had 4 of 10 from 3. Started 0 of 5 in the first half, 4 of 5 in the second half. Huge. Two was huge in the second half. Jaylen Brown, 37 points in the game. 27 of those came in the first half on 11 of 16. He did not. The most important number in that second half is 7. They didn't let him get loose. First of all, I thought Toumani played better defense on him, and then they just sent him more bodies. They sent him more bodies. And talk about that in a second. Like they double teamed. They showed him, even when they didn't double team, they showed higher on the help and then recovered when they didn't like send an all out double team. They just showed him more bodies. And importantly, they just didn't let him get into shots the way he did in the first half. He made a bunch of hard shots in the first half. He's making hard shots all year, and he did that. But that's like, you got to have it be someone else who beats you. And Derek White was 2 of 10 from 3. They got a 1 of 5 night from Hugo Gonzalez, who I thought played a good defensive game. Nobody on the bench. Sam Hauser, 1 of 5. Luka Garza came in 1 of 3. Ant in his return, 2 of 6. Like nobody, like the other Celtics couldn't hang, right? Huge Tumani second half. Donovan Clingan, a monster, 18 points, 18 boards. He had a huge opening to the game, 11 and 8 in his first 10-minute shift. But he was really, really solid for him. The Blazers played Young Hansen in this game because they played without Rob Williams sitting out the first leg of a back-to-back. Still no Jeremy Grant in these games. Still, obviously, no Drew Holiday and Matisse Thybulle. They'll just never give you any information on those guys. They'll just let you fill in the blanks with whatever conspiracy theory you would like to cook up. Go for it. Cook it up. Send me an email about it. I will ignore it. No, just kidding. I'll just say I don't think I agree. But the Blazers go small. They don't play Young in the fourth quarter. They don't play Hansen in the fourth quarter. He struggles on defense, and they don't trust him. Like the Splitter does not trust Hansen to execute the defensive principles. And so in a close game in the fourth quarter, there was a game earlier on this homestand where Donovan played the entire 12-minute fourth quarter, and that's just too much for him. You got to get him out a little bit. Like that is inappropriate coaching, right? But for a brief second, the Blazers went small in the fourth quarter. Game was tied at 98 with 5.5 minutes left, 5:32 on the clock, and the Blazers go small out of that timeout, and then at 3:22, so they gave Donovan about 2 minutes and 10 seconds of rest. They brought Donovan Clingan back, and they closed big, and Clingan was really good down the stretch and got a huge rebound to seal the freaking game. That was huge. They stole some minutes for him, though, in the middle of the fourth quarter, which was just like, that's just better coaching than playing him 12 straight minutes. It's just, you got to learn to manage the game and manage your players. I thought that's an important little wrinkle from Splitter, is like, you just, at some point, you just got to sort of trust you got to play your guys. You got to trust the group. So you get 24 from Avdia. You get 26 from Sharp. You get 18 and 18 from Donovan Clingan. You get 20 from Tumani Kamara. You get 18 off the bench from Caleb Love, and he hits 4 threes. If you're going to get 5 dudes who are going to score 15 plus, you're going to have yourself a chance, because they don't usually have that level of balance, and the Blazers did just enough to make it happen. In fact, they flash up a stat on the screen and monitor in the arena. This is the 8th time it's happened, which is the most in the league. That's a stunner to me, but still, that's only eight times in 32 games. And it's happening about a quarter of the time, right? But like, you cannot count on sort of this level of balance in this way, particularly when you're as shorthanded as they are. When it's Drew and Jeremy and that stuff, then it's more believable. But when this is like Clingan and Caleb Love, it's like oh, and these are really good games. So what I say all this is to say, like, did the Blazers find a formula, or was this just a one game? I think it's a little bit of both. I think the formula is something like this, where you don't have to have Denny Avdia have a 30-point triple-double, and you don't need Shaedon Sharpe to score 36. You need those guys to score about what they did. Like, I don't think the Blazers can win this game if those guys don't combine for around 50 together. Your best players need to play well for you to have a chance, particularly when you're shorthanded. But like, they need help from somewhere, because maybe reinforcements aren't coming back anytime soon. The Blazers aren't particularly they're just not forthcoming at all anyway with injuries. So we just don't know. And when asked again tonight, Splitter gave no update. Those guys are just not ready. Jeremy Grant's day to day, but now he's missed 4 straight games. The Blazers play again tomorrow. I would be surprised if he plays, based on how quickly he was ruled out prior to this one. So yeah, I mean, like, we don't know. We just don't know. So it's like, this is this is kind of what it looks like. Why I say that it's just one of those games, because I just don't think it's that likely to be like repeatable, right? I don't think this, if Caleb Love, his thing is like that. When he looks good, he looks awesome. And when he looks bad, he looks unplayable. He's just inconsistent, right? And the lows are low. But this was a really good Love game, and they got their win out of it, right? Because he hit 4 threes, and they're never going to lose if he hits 4 threes off the bench. But what I also think some of this is just like, against the Clippers, and I'll use this as an example to close the show here, is like they hit Brook Lopez hits 9 threes. One person, Brookie. Brolo hits 9 threes. And some of that was because the Blazers played to a specific game plan. Some of it was double teaming Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, right? And they got burned by the game plan. I rewatched the Lopez threes. Some of them are just playing drop, like a low drop coverage, and the ball handler so that's like the big man's not up at the level of the screen. He's back below the screen. And when Harden would come off the screen, it was Harden most of the time, it was Kawhi once, like kind of snake back and get in between the big man and the popping Brook Lopez. So you just can't recover. So it was like, and Donovan Clingan talked about that after the game. It's like, it's just too low on some of those. They were also double teaming and having trouble recovering. So it wasn't even Brook Lopez involved in the initial action. It was Brook Lopez on the backside or on the corner or on the opposite wing. And so the double team would come, and then you scramble, swing. The Blazers executed the game plan. Lopez just absolutely burned them for the best shooting night of his career. Against the Celtics, the Blazers, again, double teamed, show and recover, and they didn't get burned because it was not a good shooting night. Peyton Pritchard and Derek White combined to go 5 of 18 from 3. Simons and Hauser and did not, they combined to go, 3 of 11 from 3. Like the Celtics in general shot poorly. And I don't want to say like it all boils down to 3-point shooting, because I think, quite frankly, generating good looks against the Clippers was more concerning than the defense itself. The offense stumbled. But why I don't think this is like necessarily a formula is because I think right now, like the real truth about the Blazers, and I think this is just like the truth about the injuries, is like their limitations have been laid bare. If they were healthy, I think they're pretty plucky, right? Like I think with Drew Holiday and maybe Scoot Henderson, if he ever plays this season, who knows? Like another point guard to organize them, another positive defender. They're getting like limited positive minutes from Sidi Sissoko, but if they've scaled them back, they'd be money. If they could just like kind of use Caleb Love when he's on one and when he's really off, not have to use him. If they had more options to go small and give people a different look, if they had Jeremy Grant and they're like, if they were fully healthy, they're plucky. But I think like the real truth of this is that like, I think they executed the game plan decently against the Clippers, and I don't think it was a terrible game plan. I just think they got super burned by it, and by the time they said, okay, we're not going to double, then Kawhi Leonard just took over down the stretch and got to where he wanted to go and got fouled, right? And the Celtics were unable to take advantage of it. And so like, while one game looks like this absolute nightmare and one game is a good win, some of this is just like how an NBA game works when you are as limited as the Blazers are. They don't have a way to really enforce their will on teams with how talent depleted they are. Like all I say is like kind of their limitations have been laid bare. They have a very slim margin for error. And if teams are going to have really good shooting nights, they're probably not going to overcome that. And if they're going to turn the ball over a bunch, they're probably not going to overcome that. And even then, when the Celtics were just throwing the ball away in the final 2 minutes of this game, final minute and a half of this game, particularly, it's like they just did enough, to squeak out a win. So I think this is something like the formula. Limit your turnovers, get enough scoring from non-Shadens and non-Denny's, but you also still need them to be very good to have a chance. And then like execute the game plan. Get the ball out of the hands of who you want to get the ball out of the hands of, out of Jaylen Brown or out of Kawhi Leonard, and then, scramble, recover, play as good a connected defense as you can. And maybe it will work. But for me, I think that this was a nice exhale game, an entertaining game, even though sloppy down the stretch was fun. And I think what we sort of have seen from this team is, and I think Friday was an example of it, and Sunday as well, is like, yeah, they've got they're playing an uphill battle because of just who they have available, but also like I think injuries are both an explanation, but an unfair crutch because injuries are kind of baked into it. And part of like how it works in the NBA is that you're going to deal with injuries and your depth gets tested. And the Blazers' depth has been exposed. It's just like not quite good enough to hang. And so against the Celtics, they were able to hang because everybody stepped up. So while I do think this was, like a fun, entertaining game, and like sort of big picture, the formula for balance and how they want to play and putting, having it not just be Denny and Shea save them when it matters. And like, oh, Denny, can you score 35 and have 11 assists, please? Right. Like, but I think, also, I think I came away from this weekend thinking like, yeah, I mean, there is a ceiling on how good this team can be on their just available talent level and their general availability on both health and, kind of the ceiling of their general performers. The good news and bad news is they get to do it again. The Dallas Mavericks will be in town, second night of a back-to-back, 7:30 tip-off at the Moda Center. I will be in the building, and I'll tell you what happened afterwards. We'll recap that game. That's what we're going to do. Let's talk about later this week real quick. We're back 5 days a week. There's no reason I'm not going to do anything on New Year's Eve, so like I'm still going to record a show. You got 5 this week. This is your Monday's program, talking Celtics and Clippers. On Tuesday's show, we will talk all things Mavericks. Wednesday show will be a roundup of all the latest trade news and rumors and whirlwinds and visiting the rumor mill and et cetera, et cetera. Then we'll recap the Blazers game against OKC on Thursday. They're going to play on New Year's Eve against Oklahoma City. And on Friday, I'm trying to nail down a guest. We shall see. So stay tuned for that. But if not, I've got another fun thing planned for you. I'll tell you about it later in the week once I know what the deal is. That's what we're doing 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.